The rain had been falling for hours, drumming against the cracked pavement of the quiet city streets, creating a rhythm that echoed the emptiness in her stomach. A small, shivering figure huddled in the shadow of an abandoned alley, her clothes soaked through, her shoes long since torn apart by months of wandering. She was 12, no older than many of the children walking past her on their way home from school, laughing with warm backpacks slung over their shoulders. But she wasn't like them. She had no home, no warm dinner waiting for her, no one to call her own. Her name was Lily, though she couldn't remember the last time anyone had called her that with genuine affection. Today, hunger had driven her to something she never imagined she would do. Something that would change the course of her life forever. She held her tattered violin tightly against her chest, its strings worn but still capable of producing the melodies she clung to like a lifeline. Lily had learned to play from an old street musician she had met months ago, a kind man with a bushy beard and gentle eyes who had taught her that music could speak when words failed. Now, standing in front of a bustling cafe, watching people hurry past with steaming cups of coffee and laughter spilling into the cold air, she took a trembling breath. Her stomach growled audibly. She swallowed the lump in her throat and stepped closer to the entrance. "Excuse me, can I play for food?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, cracked with fear and fatigue. Instantly, the world seemed to pause. Then, laughter erupted. A man in a sharp suit shook his head, smirking. A young woman with perfect nails and an overpriced handbag whispered something to her friend, smirking behind her hand. Can you imagine? A little homeless girl thinking she can play music for a sandwich. Someone scoffed. The jeers, the cruel glances, the muffled laughter, all of it landed like stones on Lily's fragile heart. But she didn't move. She raised her chin, despite the cold dripping down her back, and lifted her violin. The first note was hesitant, trembling. But then she let herself sink into the music, pouring every pang of hunger, every shiver of loneliness, every longing for warmth into the strings. The melody started slow, almost mournful, but it grew in strength, in beauty, in urgency, until it demanded attention. Passers-by stopped. Conversations halted mid-sentence. People felt the raw honesty, the unpolished brilliance of a child who had nothing but hope and music. If you believe in kindness and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Minutes passed like hours. The laughter slowly faded. A woman with tears glistening in her eyes pulled a granola bar from her bag and offered it to Lily, who took it with trembling hands, barely noticing as she continued to play. The music didn't stop. It couldn't. It was all she had, and she refused to let the world take even that away. For Lily, each day was a battle between surviving and hiding, between existing in a world that seemed to have forgotten her and trying to find traces of beauty in it. Nights were the hardest. She would curl up under cardboard boxes, shivering beneath the cold kiss of winter, listening to the city's heartbeat from a distance, a mixture of car horns, distant laughter, and the occasional police siren. She dreamed of warmth, of food that didn't taste like yesterday's leftovers, of a family that would love her unconditionally. But the reality was cruel and unyielding. The streets had a way of teaching harsh lessons, and Lily had learned all of them. Yet music was her rebellion. Each note she played was a defiance against the world that had ignored her, that had mocked her, that had assumed she was nothing. It was her way of telling herself that she still existed, that she still mattered, that her soul was alive even if her body was starving. Some days, the street musician who had taught her would appear, a bag of sandwiches in his hand and a warm smile. He would watch her play, nodding silently, proud that she had kept the fire of her talent burning despite everything. "Music remembers you, Lily," he said once, voice soft with the gravity of truth. "Even if the world forgets." One chilly afternoon, as Lily was performing under the awning of a cafe to keep dry from the relentless drizzle, a young man in a crisp jacket stopped and listened longer than anyone else had that day. He wasn't smiling, and he didn't laugh. He just watched, his eyes narrowing as if trying to understand how such a small, frail child could command such enormous emotion from a battered violin. When she finished the piece, he approached cautiously, kneeling down to her level. "You play beautifully," he said simply. There was no mockery, no pity, just genuine admiration. "Would you like to audition for a music program? They train talented young musicians, and I think you belong there." Lily's eyes widened, disbelief and hope warring inside her chest. She had dreamed of this, of being seen, truly seen, but the streets had taught her to brace herself for disappointment. I don't have a home," she whispered. I don't even have shoes." The man smiled gently. "We'll figure that out. One step at a time. You just need a chance, Lily. One chance." From that day forward, her life began to change, slowly but steadily. The program provided her with proper clothes, a small room to sleep in, and, most importantly, the guidance to nurture her talent. She still carried the scars of her past, emotional, physical, and mental, but the streets had also given her resilience, a strength that shone through every note she played. In rehearsals, her instructors marveled at her ability to pour emotion into music far beyond her years. The other students, many of whom had come from wealthy, stable families, initially underestimated her. But soon, they learned the unspoken truth: talent combined with a hunger that went deeper than mere ambition could move mountains. The first time she performed on stage in front of a packed auditorium, she felt the old fear creeping back. The lights were blinding. The audience stared, expectant. Her stomach twisted in knots, not from hunger, but from anticipation. But then she thought of the alleyways, the rain, the mockery, the granola bar in the woman's hand, and she let the music take over. Her fingers danced over the strings with fluidity and grace, translating years of pain, hunger, and survival into something transcendently beautiful. When the last note lingered in the air, the audience erupted into applause. Some were moved to tears. Others simply sat, stunned by the sheer emotion of it all. Lily bowed, her heart pounding with something she had never known before: pride, acceptance, and the unshakable sense that she finally belonged somewhere. But it wasn't just about music. It was about proving to herself and the world that where you start doesn't define where you can go. That the cruel laughter of strangers doesn't have to decide your fate. That a child, hungry and homeless, could rise above circumstance with courage, talent, and an unyielding spirit. Lily's story began to spread. Local newspapers covered her journey from streets to stage. Social media posts showed her playing in the rain, her violin case opened for coins and sandwiches, captioned with encouragement and wonder. She inspired countless others who felt invisible or beaten down by life's harshness. Messages poured in from children who had known hunger, adults who had felt hopeless, and strangers who simply needed to be reminded that kindness and perseverance still mattered. Yet, through it all, Lily remained humble. She never forgot the jeers, the laughter, or the nights curled under cardboard boxes. She remembered the woman who gave her a granola bar and the man who had offered her the first real opportunity. They were proof that even the smallest acts of kindness could ripple into monumental change. And every time she played, she thought of the little girl in the rain, asking for food with a trembling voice, and she smiled. Because that girl had survived, had fought, and had finally been heard. Years later, when Lily performed in grand concert halls around the world, she often paused before starting a piece, taking a deep breath and remembering the streets that had almost broken her. Her journey wasn't just about music. It was about resilience, hope, and the simple truth that every human being deserves a chance. Every note she played was a testament to survival, a tribute to those who had been kind when the world seemed unkindest. And each audience, moved to tears or silent awe, unknowingly carried a piece of her story forward, spreading the lesson that sometimes the smallest voices carry the loudest truth. If this story touched your heart, please engage with this video. Like, share, and comment. It truly helps spread the message of hope. And before you go, leave a comment telling us what you think Lily's first words to the world should be, if she could speak freely about her journey. Because sometimes, all it takes is one moment, one act of courage, or one note from a violin to change the course of a life. And in that change, the world finds a glimpse of its better self.